we are live now. So welcome to the Women's Wisdom Circle. And I am welcoming Bridget from New Zealand, Vivian from California, Fiona from the UK, and Michelle from the US, Idaho, I believe, you know, in that area. Yes. All right, and there might be some other people joining us. Heidi from Italy said she might join us eventually. It's a bit late for people in this part of the world. It's 9 p.m. in France right now. I'm in France, but it doesn't matter. You know, we'll alternate the timing so we can all have our participation. And just to connect with our last hangout about 2 weeks ago, where we talked about the emergence amongst us of that presence, you know, that presence that speaks through us. So it is not anymore the how I'm going to express that, the old patterns and the old ways, but there is something else. And really the purpose of a circle is to be able to emerge within the circle, the wisdom from the circle. And when I started this about a year ago, I was so kind of at a loss, and I was looking for solutions out there, outside of myself, and thought, well, if we come together as a group of women, perhaps we can find solutions to those problems out there. And what I'm coming to realize is that all the problems exist within me. And as I heal what is triggered within me, I really heal the world. And that is something that I might have heard before, that I might have kind of known at one point intellectually. But now it's like I am able to literally embody that wisdom and that awareness. And what I'm realizing is the triggers, whenever I get triggered, there's something in me that has to be healed. And there's nothing out there that needs to be fixed. It's all within me. And that has been like a huge kind of aha for me, especially in the last week. I might share some more eventually, but if this comes back on the conversation. But perhaps what I would like to do before we enter into conversation is to do a short little guided centering for us to be present, to get present. And I'm welcoming Harriet also in Finland. It's late for you, Harriet. Thank you for being here. So let's just close our eyes and be present within ourselves and within our circle. So taking a few deep breaths. Deep breath in, full out breath. One more deep breath in. Full out breath. And one last deep breath in. Releasing everything that cuts us off from our being present in the circle and within ourselves. And now breathing normally, allowing our connection to the larger field of life to enter into the circle. And when I talk about the larger field of life, I'm talking about our connection to the earth and the universe, and our connection to each other across the globe. So just taking a moment to imagine that, to visualize that connection to the earth. Perhaps visualize the roots that connect us deep and ground us deep into the earth. And visualize an antenna of light connecting us to the stars. Just really presence each other as being an antenna connected to the earth and to the stars. And just allowing that image, that central column of light, to really get anchored into your awareness. This is who we are. We are light. Taking a moment to connect to your heart. That area where your spirit, your soul guidance resides. Just taking a moment to listen in. To what is present right now within you, within each of us. What resonates right now? And from that place of connection to yourself, extend a virtual hand through the circle, sending energy to the right hand and receiving energy through the left hand. Connecting our energies throughout the globe and presencing ourselves within the circle. And taking another deep breath, gradually coming back. Your awareness about your location, wherever you're sitting in physical space. Taking another deep breath, reconnecting to your physical body. You might want to move your head a little bit, wiggle your shoulders, your hands, connecting with your body. And taking another deep breath, and whenever you're ready, joining our circle and opening your eyes, and let's start our conversation. Michelle, yes, go ahead, and you need to unmute yourself. Yes, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. I thought it was really interesting that you started out talking about how you were looking outside of yourself and then realizing that everything is internal to you. Mm-hmm. Because the last 2 weeks of the month of May, I received 4 emails from people I don't know and communication from 2 people who I do know asking me about a group in Course in Miracles. And I haven't done one in, gosh, it was more than like 9 months ago that the last time I actually facilitated a group. And I had not really planned on doing any sort of group. And all of a sudden, with all these people, writing to me and asking me about it and all, I thought, well, maybe that's kind of a nudge from the universe saying, get back into service in that way. The reason I bring that up, though, is because the Course in Miracles is all about everything outside of you is a reflection of your own belief. Mm-hmm. And then if you think there's something wrong, it's because you're judging it to be wrong. Or you think something's right, you're judging it to be right. But everything that we do is a judgment of something inside of ourselves. And I have this really strong desire to work toward world peace And it's a big goal, I understand that, but my thought on it is the way to get world peace is that when everyone in their own heart has peace, we will have world peace because there will be nothing to struggle over. And it just seemed like that kind of applied itself to what you had opened with about trying to find the answers and just looking at everything as though it's a reflection of self. And it is there to show you what you believe and what you think. And then you can, adjust your thinking or adjust your beliefs based on what you're seeing.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
yes.
That was...
Thank you for contributing that, and I just want to share something that happened to me this week, which brought this home so powerfully. I'm in France right now. I usually come to France for a few months because I have returned to Canada officially at the end of January. And my husband joined me he's here for about 3 weeks. So he came last Thursday, I believe. And a couple of days ago, I have been listening to a lot of inspiring things, not listening to the news, but really kind of working very consciously at clearing some of the stuff that gets triggered in me. And I have actually offered him to listen to some of the things that I'm listening to, because I've been, when I was alone here, I was doing this almost full time, and here suddenly I have somebody in my space, and I can no longer do what it really is important to me. So I figured, okay, I'm inviting him to listen in to those things, and I could not relax doing that first time when we listened together to something. And suddenly, and I was like contracted, and it was like, and I noticed, I said, what's going on with me? And suddenly it hit me. My worst fear of all fears is the fear of judgment. And here I was, okay, sharing what is important to me with him, and being scared that he's going to make some comments, like some kind of left field comments, like he does sometimes, and bracing myself. And none of that happened. He actually enjoyed it. He actually appreciated it. He wants to listen to more. He's actually getting a lot of things out of it, But I just saw, and I was going to say something to him out of me feeling that fear of judgment, and then it suddenly hit me, I mean, like a brick, like a ton of brick. My God, this has got nothing to do with him. This is all within me, This brought this whole thing home for me in such a powerful way that I cannot even begin to share how powerful that was, So I'm no longer fixing things outside of myself, or fixing him, because it's a lost cause anyway, But fixing what gets triggered within me whenever I have all those things going on. So that was like a powerful kind of a moment for me. So thanks for bringing that up, because that's, everything is within ourselves. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. So, who would like to chime in? Just unmute yourself and...
I could.
Harriet.
Hi. I was a little bit late. I had to reinstall some of the Google Voices. I didn't hear anything when I started to join first, but now it's fixed. Good. Nice to see you all again. I just want to share, because we have worked so much with the self-care and the self-love, and I had a very big shift going on when we were out having dinner with my husband, and we are in the divorce process, which is a very challenging thing to be present with and to be conscious with and to really express and to feel when it's a time to really, when we are so to say ready to disconnect, to take the next step. And I tried to express some of my discontent, and he got very upset. You are always these negative things, and and you're complaining. And then suddenly it struck me that I complained a lot when I was younger and we had the small children. I worked in a challenging job, and suddenly I gave myself credit for, you see, I told him, a woman doesn't complain if she is happy. I was totally overloaded and I tried to, that was my cry for help by complaining. And I have been judging myself for doing that, for complaining. But now I could finally accept it and gave myself the self-love that it was quite okay that you complained because you were totally overloaded and I didn't understand it. But it was such a relief.
Yes, yes. Powerful to identify those triggers and those moments, you know, and to own them within ourselves. Yes, this is.
Yeah. And without judgment, what you also were talking about, because I have been judging myself because he was kind of mirroring back that so I didn't accept in myself when you said, like Michelle, it's all in me, so I didn't accept that complainer in myself. So it means I was not kind to myself. I didn't accept that I was overloaded.
Yes.
I didn't accept anything of that reality, which was the fact then.
Yes, yes. You know, and that kind of brings up for me all the stuff that we take on as women.
Yeah.
All the roles that we play, and we kind of we're programmed to play all those roles.
Yeah.
But not Michelle, you want to add something to that?
Well, I just want to ask Harriet, because I mean, I know this is true about me too, is that again, as women, we find it very difficult to ask for help.
Yeah.
And our method of asking for help is to complain and hope that someone steps up and helps us.
Yes,
really,
but nobody does.
Yeah, what we really need to do is say, hey, I need some help here. But we don't say that. We just complain and find fault and hope someone reads our mind and says, oh, let me help you with that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's part of the programs, you know, that we are the caregivers of everybody. And in exchange, you know, somebody kind of feeds us, takes care of us. I mean, this is an old program, you know, and not acceptable anymore in this time and age when we all are professionals and have our jobs or our careers, you know. So it's you know, the shift is all around us, I believe, you know. And Liz was supposed to be here, but she sent me a message that she is opting to go to bed. She's also in Finland, and it's also late for her because she had a treatment today, an osteopathic treatment, and she said what she wanted to talk about is about the superstructures changing. And I think that's what we are also referring to. There are some changes happening globally, and it's being felt. You know, we are really connected to that larger field of life. And when things change, because there is a lot of changes in the in the skies, you know, like I'm not competent to talk about astrology or anything like that, but I'm kind of following those things. So I know that there is an impact. But definitely, we are impacted, and I notice it. You know, it's easier for me now to express certain things. You know, before I would have judged myself to such a degree that I wouldn't even dare say it or try to come up looking perfect or looking, you know, like that word we discussed last time. You know, that is not a right word to actually. We shouldn't even use it in our vocabulary anymore, you know. But all those things, they are changing, and they are impacting how we are able to presence ourselves and be with our surroundings and with ourselves. You know, that self-love, which we had so little of. It's kind of dripping in for me, you know, to love myself enough. Actually, I've been quite disciplined and good with a diet lately, where I've actually lost some weight, you know, for the first time in a long, long time, you know, without any effort, simply because I am choosing to do that for my overall well-being. And it's easy, you know. doing it first and foremost for myself. Who wants to add something to the conversation? You can just unmute yourself and join. Fiona, go ahead.
I like the method on peacefulness. I'm finding I'm quite overwhelmed at the moment with all the energy and what's happening in my life, but it's almost been able to open up spaces of peacefulness. And I had yoga class today, and I really didn't want to show up because I was feeling quite heavy, and literally I've put quite a lot of weight on, but also just feeling a bit of a depression on my heart chakra. So I did some healing on that, and I went to yoga, and it was beautiful at the end because we just all felt that wonderful peacefulness of energies coming through, and it was beautiful. So I was really glad that I turned up. I showed up. And it's interesting the synchronicities that we're having in the group with the husbands, and because my husband today challenged me because I've been looking at the business side, and he was saying to me, "You've been here before, and now you're going to go off and rescue somebody else." And I got upset, but it was from a different place. It was a place of sadness of what was happening to young people, and so again I went within and asked for help for that to shift. And I find that just being in the group as well, just finding space just to be just peaceful, is what I'm really feel blessed to have connected. And I think the last conversation as well, I think the fact the joy, I think it was Bridget that really, really helped me in a challenge that I had with my son, the fact that you were able to articulate that so beautifully and authentically. And then within a few days, I had a challenge with my son. And I went within and looked at myself and well, I wouldn't say the word was forgiven, but accepted the fact that as a mother, I had made mistakes, but, I was proud and feeling accepting of who I was as a mother, and just transformation has happened with the communication with my son. And tonight, going on about communication and asking for help, I've actually got a bit of a road trip planned with some friends who are coming from Australia, and I've asked my husband and my son to step in and look after our dog. And my son is normally, well, is your dog, and and tonight he was really, yes, well, I can take some time off work, and I'm like, oh, this is, thank you. So I sort of resonate with what everybody's saying, and the strength of being in that peaceful place, and even when it's chaotic around, and trusting and having faith, and these words that I'm starting to really feel them, and honouring if I don't feel them, if I am feeling not good enough or whatever, not sort of judging myself for it too much and saying, oh, okay, that's come up for a reason. So that's where I am in this conversation. So.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, again, that connection, that coming back to center within yourself, and a lot of things shift outside.
Yeah.
Yes. Powerful example also. Thank you, Fiona. Bridget, did you want to chime in your early morning time?
Just at this point, I'm just very present to the conversation and the insights and the awakenings and the ahas, which are fabulous. But I'm not sure that I have anything in particular to share right now. Just a dear friend of mine died on Sunday morning, so I'm just really conscious that suddenly my friends, it's goodness, maybe it's that time of my life to be to be starting to lose my friends, and so yeah, really conscious of that. But I know that yes, she was a really powerful friend, and there's a little poem on my website, and I'll tell it to you because it's pertinent. And it goes, one boat sails east and another west with the self-same wind that blows. Like the will of the soul, oh, I've lost it now. Like the ways of fate. Oh, I've completely lost it, and I know it totally by heart. One ship sails east and another west, the self-same wind that blows. Like the winds of the sea are the ways of fate as we voyage along through life. It is the will of the soul that decides the goal, and not the calm or the strife. And that poem was a little poem that was embroidered, on one of those little embroideries on the wall of the room that I slept in whenever I stayed at this friend's house. And at first when I was young, I just thought it was a lovely poem. And as I've continued through my life, I have come to see how that poem has guided me every day. So the thing that I'm most grateful to my friend for is really that poem. Yeah, because every day I see its truth more and more.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
And I put it on my website, and it's amazing the number of people who comment on it. So that's where I'm at today.
Yes, and certainly I'm sure that Viviane resonates with what you are sharing because she has been going through a lot of grief over the last year because of losing a friend, So Viviane, if you want to kind of chime in, invite you to speak to what Bridget was sharing.
Yes, I definitely resonate to your loss, and my condolences to you because, people think that just because it's a friend, we don't need condolences, but we do. We do, very much so. And we need to be acknowledged that a friendship is a huge, huge loss, especially someone as close as you were to this person. I had 25 years with my friend, and not a day goes by that I don't thank her for having been in my life for 25 years. I lost her. It's going to be the second anniversary coming up June 17th.
Wow.
Her death. And I still spend time grieving, and I allow myself to cry when I need to. It's not as constant as it was when it first happened. But Course in Miracles says that we shall walk through the gates of heaven 2 by 2. And I keep wondering, where is my other? Who will I walk through those gates with? And Michelle, you mentioned world peace. I joined the world peace movement 36 years ago when I started meditating a very strict, assiduous Buddhist meditation for world peace. And I've been meditating since then, twice a day, have not skipped any, at least not too many that I can actually think of. And meditation is the thing that has bonded me to other people and to remind me that we are all one. When we lose someone dear to us, our own mortality becomes very evident. And I don't think it has anything to do with age. It was her 58th birthday when she found out that she had only 2 months to live, and fulfilled the doctor's expectations. So I felt for the longest time that I had failed her, because I couldn't do what I do with all my patients to help them to heal. And of all people, the one person who was dearest to me, who was like my whole family, why not be able to help her? But since then, she comes to me and she talks to me, and I can communicate with the other side, something I've been able to do for most of my life, which has been a gift also to me. And she tells me she's happier now than she has ever been on this side. And that's something that's hard for me to accept, but I know that she was not happy in this lifetime. So she also took responsibility for ending her life that soon. She actually said, I did it to myself. I did it to myself. Even in her suffering, in the pain of this cancer that was excruciating for 2 months, she could actually take responsibility. And responsibility is not blame, very different. And Buddhism taught me to take responsibility in a very harsh way when I first started 36 years ago to do this meditation, and went through one accident after the other until I broke my back, and realized that I had a hand even in those accidents, that nothing really is an accident. And when I was able to do that, I was able to take charge of my life. It's not an easy task. It is not easy to live by the law of cause and effect, which is what we Buddhists chant, the law of cause and effect. I devote myself to the law of cause and effect. Those are the words in 13th century Japanese that we chant. And it is a very powerful thing to take charge of one's own destiny and to realize that every single relationship in my life has been no accident, has been a sacred contract. And so I wondered at one point, why am I grieving if she's happier on the other side, you know? And even when I lost my mom, who died in my arms at 85, when we thought she wouldn't make it to 85 because she was having strokes from her 20s, in her 20s, it was a grief that I had to go through. The loss of my mother, the loss of every family member I have lost, and from the time I was very young to have lost many, many people. Not just through death, but through separation in other countries and so forth. So to understand the responsibility of having made these sacred contracts with every single person, no matter how short a relationship it is. You know, Course in Miracles says we turn a special relationship into a holy relationship. And that's the task. That is an assiduous task. It's not done very easily. Mm-hmm. It takes every part of our energy and every part of our commitment to remember that and to know that we all have a purpose here and that even grieving has its purpose. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, I was questioning purpose a few days ago too, really. I mean, nobody needs me. I am not here for any reason that I know of. I'm a free agent. Nobody really needs me. If I disappeared, a few people would be inconvenienced, but no one would be terribly put out. Truly, they would not. And I'm getting very frustrated. Why am I here? Why am I here? What am I doing? And I got an email from one of the Course in Miracles people who I follow, and here, I kid you not, this is exactly what was in her email. It was a quote from A Course in Miracles, and I would like to share it. It's very short. And this is what she says, your reason for being here. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. And that's the end of the quote. And I don't know where in Course in Miracles that's from, but it was basically the answer to my question. Why am I here? What am I doing? I'm just here to help anyone who needs help. Of course, we have to remember to ask. And that's the hardest thing for women to do oftentimes, is to ask for help. So I'm kind of wrapping things all together here too, but it's just to be here for whoever needs help. And like you said, I have this idea that I call radical responsibility. It's whatever happens, I'm responsible for. I can't look at somebody else and say, oh, you did this. No, I have to, because that's, if I put it on someone else, I am just totally giving my power over them completely. And that's saying, I'm powerless, you have control of me, I just can't do anything. And that's not where we want to be either. And so I think if we just offer ourselves in the spirit of the universe and say, I'm here to help, show me what you want me to do, universe, give me a nudge. Like I got this nudge to redo this Course in Miracles group after not having done one for, almost a year. It came completely out of the blue. So, but that is my thought. I hope you don't mind my jumping in, but that quote just jumped right out at me, and maybe it will be of service here too.
Yes, that guidance, that comes from. Sometimes we forget, and then something like this kind of reconnects us and reminds us why we are here, And Viviane, when you were sharing what came for me as like those sacred contracts, and you mentioned it after, because that is one of the videos that I was watching last week about you are enough, and not quite sure what the right title of the video was, by Hans Christian King. I don't know if you have ever heard of him, but he is also like a medium and spiritual teacher, and he kept on saying that, like whatever happens in a relationship, it's by contract, it's by a sacred contract that you have. You're playing out the sacred contract that you have made before choosing to embody. So, yes, and I cannot speak to the grief that you are experiencing, but perhaps that was part of the contract that you had taken on, to experience what it feels to feel all that grief, and can relate to people who have.
At first, I was feeling guilty that I was feeling grief, because here she is telling me she's happy. Why should I be grieving? And also, since I have access to her, why should I grieve the corporal person, the person who was here and is now on another plane. It's just not the same. I spoke to another person who is a medium and who is very well known all over the world and has written many books about it. And I said to him, you know, I'm grieving and I feel bad that I'm grieving. And he said, of course you will grieve. You're still in human form.
Yeah.
You will feel that grief, even though you can communicate with the other side. It's not just because you communicate that you shouldn't feel the grief. You're still in human form. And he said, I grieve too for those I have lost. So it was very reassuring to hear that, because here I was in this cocoon of grief and thinking I shouldn't be grieving, I should be rejoicing for her. And at the same time, I do rejoice for her freedom from pain, for her freedom from this body that made her suffer so much. So there is a duality to this, and there's nothing that says that we can't hold two opposing feelings at the same time. You know, it's hard for us as human beings to think that we can have one feeling that says one thing and another feeling that says another, and they're contradictory, but we can still hold them when we are at that point of an evolvement, if there is such a word. Evolution is the word. Where we can be astute enough and wise enough to understand that it is possible to have two contradicting feelings at the same time and to honor both of them.
Mm-hmm. And you know, as you said, that's the duality of physicality. When you are in a body, you are in duality. So we live in a world of duality. So all those things, they coexist.
Mm-hmm.
And really, like, learning this I believe is what I've been observing within myself, and also you know, in other groups where I participate. There is, when you are the more you are connected with that guidance system, that soul, the more there is another language, there is another way of expressing yourself, which is perhaps still in duality, but perhaps not as clouded by all the, you know, the I don't even know if I can find the right word that I want to say. The judgments of duality, perhaps, you know, you know, when you were saying earlier, you know, like, I shouldn't feel guilt. It's a judgment again, you know, and it's always like, it seems that being in a human body is like being a judgment machine, like being able to discern, you know, and we are learning maybe to discern based on who we really are, that spirit that really has a human experience, and
well,
that's what is. Yeah, go ahead.
Meditation teaches us to let go of judgment, to let go of the ego, and I think it was what's his name? I can see his face and I can't think of his name right now. Who said ego stands for edging God out, and it's so true. You know, that we can hold those judgments, not so much as judgments as much as a discernment, as you put it, Eileen, because a discernment is important in being able to know where you're at in life and what your feelings are, and your ability to evolve and grow from all these learning experiences. Otherwise, we wouldn't be growing. and we wouldn't be able to love ourselves and pat ourselves on the back and say, good job, you know, look at where you were a year ago, look at where you are now. So, and we're constantly evolving and growing. Change is a constant, you know, and that cliche about pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, applies all the time, you know, and the understanding that we need to be able to have comes from discernment, which may be labeled as judgment. But judgment means has connotations of putting other people down or feeling better than or less than, and so on and so forth. So, so the language is not really adequate in many ways to describe our innermost feelings and our innermost acheminement, as we say in French. What's the word in English?
What in French? What?
Acheminement.
Oh,
Our growth, right? Our growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than it's learning on every level.
The subtle feelings that emerge when you are in that state of connection where you know something, but you might not have the exact word to express it. That's kind of it's that emergence, really, you know. That's really actually what we are practicing here, you know, allowing emergence of what is wanting to speak through us, rather than coming from a preset type of agenda, you know, of how it ought to be or should be, or prejudging kind of a. It's really what we're practicing, you know, that state of emergence here, you know. You've unmuted yourself. Did you want to chime in?
Yes, thank you. Because the 2x2, for me, that's simply an expression of when I'm connected with who I really am, with my soul and my spirit, then I'm 2x2. Then I'm the two traveling together, and that's my journey, is to be connected with my spirit and travel with my spirit. So that's how I understand 2x2, and I find that very very simple for me to accept. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, that speaks to what you were saying, you know. I don't remember how you put it, Viviane, but you said like two are passing the gate or whatever, you know.
Yes, A Course in Miracles says you will go through the gates of heaven 2x2.
Yeah, and that's it brings a light on what Bridget just shared. Brings light to the point, you know, that I kind of was grappling with myself and didn't quite get. But thank you that you speak like this, because that makes total sense.
I think Course in Miracles has something else in mind, though, because of our ability to turn a special relationship into a holy relationship. And I used to teach the Course, so I should remember where that part came from. I think it's in the workbook part, as that quote you mentioned, Michelle. That was in the workbook, I believe. It's really an interesting thing in that we are a many-partite being, not just one, and that's very true. But most people will say me, myself, and I, you know, or they'll talk about the ego, the superego, the id, and so on that Freud put forward, which I really don't give much mind to because he was discredited later on. But the two parts of us, really, the conscious and the unconscious. And that's all there is to each of us, really. And so that speaks to what you just said, Bridget, which is you know, my conscious part and my unconscious part. That's two. That makes two. Yes.
Yeah, and the unconscious part that you know, if I recall what Dr. Hugh Len was talking about, you know, he said, in 1 second you have 21 billion bits of the subconscious mind, and the conscious mind 6 bits. So really, we are connected to time immemorial through the unconscious mind, and all that lives in us and triggers us. It's constantly something from that subconscious, unconscious mind, whichever way you want to refer to it, that is triggering us. And when we walk that conscious path, really, we have very little consciousness to kind of shift all that. And the journey is really by us shifting it within ourselves, we're contributing to that. I don't even know if we ever, how many lifetimes it will require for this to happen, you know, that we can heal whatever is in that subconscious memory of collective subconscious memory, because that's really also what it is, you know. Hayat?
Yeah, I would like to maybe come in from another angle, but I would like to share with you, wonderful conscious ladies, what I heard today from a very, very strong spiritual teacher here in Finland, and because he is in a direct connection with nature and Mother Earth, and the nature has spoken to him very strongly. And it is about what is happening here in the forests of Finland, where we now have American soldiers practicing suddenly and without discussion and without, you know, it's like we have been kept in darkness from the media and everything. And these are now disturbing our spirit, our natural spirit, the spirit of our nation also. And we have a strong task in this time. You know, you can hear from maybe spiritual people talking about light coming from the north, and we have a special gift to share in this time. And now there's a very big challenge from the forces, where they want to establish really a very strong dominating system that is keeping people enslaved under the financial, political, and the economic system. So I just wanted to share with you this, what I heard today, because the situation is serious, and it's about that we are needed now. Really, like, I would like to refer to the circle with talking about the world peace, what you have been working on. Mm-hmm. And we all know now from our circles and the power of co-creation that when we come together in light and to strengthen that light, that it really has an impact. It really does matter. That the co-creative power is much more big and with a clear intention. So I just wanted to share this with you today because it's on my heart. And what are your reactions on this?
Yes. Well, what got triggered for me when you shared that, like I'm also participating in another kind of monthly teleconference series with Gordon Davidson, and he is channeling information from a master in, you know, not in this plane of reality. And it is, you know, we are in that transition, that end time that a lot of people are talking about, and it's the end of what, you know, those control mechanisms of the cabal that have been controlling the world, you know. And of course, when there is a challenge to those things, you know, they surge up everywhere. But it doesn't. He keeps on saying that this is only. How can I say that? It's just like, you know, like when somebody is kind of being put down, he kind of resists this kind of stuff. But the light has already kind of overshadowed and it's playing out in the world, because it has a purpose also by being played out in the world to kind of awaken more people to what they need to kind of heal within themselves. So that's kind of what got triggered for me, that indeed, you know, being, and we've talked many times about not listening to the news, and I'm really good at that right now. Not really. Today, actually, or yesterday, I think my husband wanted to watch some kind of the BBC because he doesn't understand the news, you know. I realized when things happen, I wasn't aware of it because I haven't paid attention to what is happening locally, you know. And I have really kind of cut myself that negativity, that there's some kind of, I don't know who should mute themselves. Yes, mute Michelle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mute.
We're getting close, looks like, to the end of the hour here, and so I just wanted to say, Bridget, I'm very sorry for your loss of your friend, and send you love and blessings. Vivienne, I believe I have heard Wayne Dyer say ego is edging God out. Whether it started with him or not, I'm not sure, but I did hear it there. And I was in a meeting a few weeks ago with a man who was talking to a group of us, and he was talking about bringing together a group for the purposes of meditation and, you know, creating something in the world, whether it be world peace or, you know, whatever this group wants to work toward. We'll find out more about that in September when we actually come together. But he actually gave us a list of, if this number of people comes together, it is the equivalent in energy of this number of people. And I'm noticing there are 6 of us here on the call today, and for 6 people to come together and all focus on the same thing is the energy of 36 people. So we're 36 people sitting here right now. And it's amazing that it doesn't take a whole lot of people coming together to generate a lot of energy.
Right.
And I think that focusing ourselves in small groups like this, and then expanding, you know, maybe I could start a small group, maybe one of you could start a small group. It disturbs me greatly to hear that there are United States troops in your country. I didn't know that. That is like, oh my God, what's that about? It's like, ugh. So, but it's just astounding that, and I'll just put this out there, that 10 people coming together generates the same as 2,154 people.
Yeah.
Only 10. It's not that many. Surely we can expand and enlarge this. And if you like, Aileen, I can type this out into an email. This little chart. It's just a little chart here. It shows, you know, the number of people and the amount of energy they generate. And I'll send it to you, and you can share it with the group.
Yeah.
But I'll just say thank you to everybody. I've really enjoyed this, and I'll kind of shush out now for a little while. But we've been here for an hour, so
yes.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution. And Viviane, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to say that in our belief system, in the Buddhist community, which is working towards world peace, is that we believe that mass consciousness will take place in favor of world peace. Only 1/3 of the population is necessary. So that's still a lot of people when you think there are 7 billion people on this planet. But every year I hear another contradiction from another source which says, well, we only need so many, and it brings a number down. So I'd be very interested in looking at your chart, Michelle. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, there have been so many studies about the impact of meditation, you know, reducing of crime rates, reducing of violence in when there is a group coming together in a city. You know, there is some statistically measurable figures that are available. I don't even know what the right word is. You know, so definitely, you know, and really, you know, I'm glad that this is coming out today, because that is really how we can actually do something. You know, individually, we are powerless individually to change. We're not powerless. That's I take that word completely out of my vocabulary. But coming together and focusing on those topics together is exponentially more powerful than attempting to do it on yourself. And you have to do it on yourself, and then coming together in resonance to what wants to emerge, and finding people on that frequency level that will send that frequency wave out into the world, and then it will have ripple effects. So we've been talking for an hour. If there's anything else, we can please bring it in. Yes, Bridget?
I just wanted to say one more thing, and that is that when you said what you said, Harriet, the first feeling I had was a grip of anger. And I don't know whether you know, I just had to breathe that anger out, because it's no point being angry. So there was my immediate response was to be angry, and then I just had to breathe it away, because anger is not helpful. So I send my love to you in Finland. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Mm. And for me, it's just like this, you know, this little negative kind of thing that kind of pops up, but will not have any power, you know, will not kind of, it's passé. It's it's an old game. That's the way I kind of read it. You know, it's not something that will win over what is happening. There's just too much happening that is supercharging, you know, the energies in the world right now. And that's kind of what Liz was talking about in her note, you know, like there's some kind of a supercharging something happening, you know, and I do feel it, you know. I actually am in a very good place, I must say, you know. So
thank you, Aline. I just want to share that I could feel the chill, the energy when you were talking. So thank you for the confirmation, and thank you, Bridget. Yes, very, very fast reaction. Really, really wonderful. Yes. So we send love to all those poor guys practicing in the forests, and trust that the hearts are open.
Being touched in spirits, you know, and converted, you know, because that's really what is happening also within those dark groups. A lot of them are being converted to the light. This is what Gordon Davidson is keep on sharing with us, you know. So just hold them in light, you know, and send them the love and the energy.
Yeah.
That they see the light, you know. Yeah. All right, ladies. So that was lovely. You know, it's always such a pleasure, you know, to see what emerges from our circle because I never have any idea, and I always have some apprehension that nobody shows up. But this time I didn't have any. Figured, okay, if nobody shows up, well, I get to experience what it feels not to not to have somebody. That's all, you know. So it was all fine. And here we are 6, you know. So sending love to all of you, and speak to you again in a couple of weeks. So, okay. Bye.
Bye.